I was going to be a nun when I was in high school. That was I left home to go to a boarding, it was basically a boarding school. And, but then when I was a junior in high school, I was going to, we had moved, the school had to move, and we were going to a co-ed high school. So I met boys. I was, a junior in high school, and I was like, I don't think I want to be a nun. So I didn't do that. But but it was a great experience, because when I was with the nuns, I don't know if you know about them or what they are, but they're really strong women who made me feel like I had, I grew up in this big house, like I said, where I was just one of 7, and it was hard. So the nuns gave me a deep sense of, that I'm okay and that there's more than just this life, I was homesick. I missed my family. But I was, for the most part, I was okay. And I really loved school. I loved to read, and as I said, the nuns were really nurturing, because remember, I didn't have a mother. I had my grandma at home, but I didn't have a mom. So the nuns were women who kind of took that place for me, especially one in particular. Her name was Sister Sally, and she was, and I think for them too, because they don't have children, I think they're also able to give a lot. They were able to give a lot to us. It was kind of cool. I was young again, and this is a time where mostly men were in the military, but I went to New Jersey, which is where they had the Coast Guard boot camp, and I was in the first all-women company to train in the Coast Guard, and that was, I've done. Actually, I always tell my kids I've done several firsts in my life. For instance, when I was in 5th grade, I was on the first girl traffic squad. Now we have traffic adults, but when we were in school, it was the older kids who crossed the younger kids across the street, and we wore a little, badge, and it was kind of a big deal. But I was the first girl. I mean, that's pretty, and this is 1970, 2 or something, and it's not that long ago, really, when girls were still not doing as much as you guys get to do, for instance. But in the Coast Guard, I worked in a communications office where I was on the radio, and I did teletype work where messages would come in from ships and the big offices, and I'd have to relay them. It was interesting, and if I hadn't gotten married and had Nick, I would have stayed in. And in some ways, I regret that I didn't make more of that, do that more. Yeah, I'm glad you're asking me these things today. Last week was really hard, and I kept crying and crying because it just was too much. I felt like for both my boys to be in the war, because it still is a war, was more than I thought I could do. But I had a really good weekend, and I talked about it a lot with my friends and my husband. And you just, that's. I don't know what the hardest part is. It all seems hard. Not so much, and I don't especially want to know too much. Ben, our boy, he's only 22. He just turned 22. He's a sergeant now in the Army. He came home when he was in Iraq the first time. He had been back and went to a wedding, and a good friend of his who was also in the Army here in Cloverdale at the Vets building, there was the reception, and there was a misunderstanding. A lot of alcohol was probably involved. He got into a fight and sort of had a flashback, and it was really frightening for us to watch Ben he was sort of defending his sister because somebody had pushed her at the wedding, and we weren't at the wedding, but it was close enough where my husband got down there and got Ben out of there because I think the police showed up, I don't know. And he ended up breaking down and telling my husband a lot of things, and some of it was really hard, like, things he had to do in his job, which is, and at that time he was younger. He's 22 now. He was probably 20 years old, carrying a big gun around and scaring people and harming people, I think. I don't know. One thing I do feel bad about my son, and even my older son, they graduated from high school, didn't want to go to college, and saw the military as sort of their only option. And because of, there's not a lot, unfortunately. And I hope that, that's not the case for you guys. I mean, it's an option, but I hope it's not your only option,
My name is Brenda Suarez. Hi, my name is Mara Contreras.
Hi, my name is Jesus Huey.
Hi, my name is Javier Diaz.